Africa has developed a way of thinking. The way of thinking of Africans today is going somewhere to a foreign land, to a foreign country, preferably in Europe or America. But it's got to be a white man's land where you're going to have a much better life. How are you going to have a much better life? For the hardest worker, you're probably going to go to school, get a degree that is accepted over there, because in most cases, African degrees are not considered in Europe or America. No. They're going to send you back to school to do a few years to be qualified to the standards that is acceptable to them. That's for the strong people. They will try, go back to school, get a degree, and perhaps be integrated into the society and start earning a living. For the weaker one, unfortunately, most are weak. They will go to a foreign land where they provide social grants or social security or social goods. You know, some countries, when you have a child, you can stay home. Maybe you don't know that. In some countries, you can stay home and you're going to get a salary, if not 90% of your salary, to the end of the month. Every month for perhaps 3 to 6 months, depending on the country. Some countries in Europe, you can do that. So for every child you have, you're getting 6 months staying home. And if you cannot work, okay, for some reason, you can stay home and the nation will still pay you money very close to the salary you got before you did not work. So for whatever reason, whether it's sanitary, whether it's mental, or whichever reason you advance, you have problems, psychological issues, you can stay home and earn money from the government. So in the meantime, many African people are not very forward or transparent with tax. I'm not going to be honest with you. You know me, I don't sugarcoat. I'm not a content creator. I'm not here to please you. I'm sorry. I'm not here to tell you things so you can like me and come back tomorrow. I can do that very, very well. But are you here for that? Question mark. Or do you want to know the truth? I'm not saying my truth is the ultimate truth. I'm saying you better go and do your own research and find out. Africans go to countries such as Belgium and the other one. I think they changed the law now. The more baby you make, the more money you get from the government. Yes, the government gives you money because you have a lot of babies. The government gives you money because you have a big family. You cannot afford to pay rent for the entire family. In some cases, you can double check that. So many people breach the system by violating the system. You make babies and stay home and get paid. Babies stay home, get paid. Babies stay home and get paid. In the meantime, the poor white man only make 2 babies and doesn't necessarily need that fund to himself. So in the meantime, where does the fund come? This fund comes from contributions and taxes. And some people work illegally. They don't necessarily show all the money, you know. They will show some of it to look like they're legal, but the other side is not shown. It's underground. It's exchanged in cash, so nobody can follow up. The United States of America is terminating the temporary protected status, the TPS, to Cameroon. Yes, Cameroon is Cameroon on the map. I ain't never been there, so I don't know if it's a beautiful place at all. But I know it's African, okay? So TPS is being terminated, and the termination is on August 4th, so in a couple of days, my brother. Termination. This means the current TPS beneficiaries from Cameroon will need to transition from this status by the date. Obviously, the decision was made by Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem after reviewing the condition of Cameroonians. I'm going to explain to you. What is TPS? TPS is temporary protected status. TPS is temporary humanitarian protection granted by the United States of America Department of Homeland Security to people from countries experiencing, number 1, armed conflict like civil war. Number 2, environmental disaster like earthquake and hurricane. Number 3, extraordinary and temporary condition that prevent safe return. So countries that are experiencing armed conflicts, like there's war, like, you know, Congo in the east, and South Sudan and some, yeah, that's number 1. Number 2, countries that are experiencing environmental disaster, you know, hurricane and earthquake and, you know, stuff like that. They can get the TPS. Number 3, extraordinary condition, like maybe you're a man, you like other men, and your country doesn't like men that like other men, like in Uganda, and you can prove that you're in danger, they can give you TPS. So what is TPS? It's a visa that's given to some African people. From 6 to 18 months, you can stay to America, you know, protected. You can get employment, you can get an apartment, you can get housing, you can get things that American profit from. And you can stay in the United States of America. Now, are the people going to America for the right cause? Which is, number one, armed conflicts, environmental disaster, extraordinary condition. Yes, some of it. Some people come from actual conflict-ridden areas, like Congo, East Congo, bad. About 12 million people dead. They go for that. Not all Congolese. Sorry, I gotta tell you the truth. Congolese from the East, yes, not Congolese from Kinshasa. There is no war in Kinshasa. Some people go to the United States of America, they say, well, I come from a very difficult place, and they give them a TPS, and maybe they're correct and they stay. Well, some other people, they leave because they don't really like their country anymore, okay? And things are bad. Or maybe they just prefer staying in America, and they stay. Now the Trump government has said, with regard to Cameroonians, brother, it's time you go back to Cameroon. The Department of Homeland Security determined that the conditions in Cameroon have improved enough that it no longer meets the criteria for TPS, which is intended for countries experiencing armed conflict or natural disasters. So they think Cameroonians should not benefit from TPS anymore, because they think Cameroon's situation today does not qualify anymore. Even though there's conflict in some, this is what they say, there are some pouches of Cameroon that says people that are revolted, people that have weapons, that are dangerous and stuff like that. They don't believe the entire Cameroon is going through this. Therefore, Cameroonians living in the United States of America should return. Now, how many Cameroonians are affected? Approximately 10,000 Cameroonians have TPS visa. So now they have to think about how to return back to Cameroon. Fellas, we need to love our countries. We need to love our continent. We have to. We have to. There's no choice. Let me tell you, a lot of Africans think they can run away from Africa. I'm sorry. You cannot run away from home. It's not possible. You can run away from your country and go to the neighbor. You will not run away from Africa, my brother. You won't. Some people think you can go to Europe and integrate and become European. You will never be a European, truly. Never. Never, ever, ever. When things go south, they will remind you. Okay, when things are good for their benefit, they say, yeah, we are all Germans. Yes, we don't care about the colors. But as soon as things go wrong, they will remind you don't belong. As soon as your ideas are not the same as theirs, they will remind you don't belong. I'm sorry to tell you the truth. This is the same thing happening right now. You gotta love your country. You've got to love the continent. You've got to invest in the continent. A lot of Africans go to America and Europe and they start behaving like they've arrived. Look, I've lived in America for many, many years myself. Okay, I've lived in Paris, I've lived in Brussels, I've lived in Netherlands, I've been to Germany, I've been to Moscow, I've been to Denmark, I've been all over the place, my brother. So I do understand there's nothing new I can learn here, absolutely nothing. I've lived in America in the nicest place. I've been in the shithole place of America, in Arapahoe. And have you ever heard of a place named Arapahoe in North Carolina, in the bush? My brother, you need to invest home. The bottom line is a lot of Africans go to other countries thinking they've arrived. They never think about going back home. They've never thought about the possibility of one day being returned back home. Well, it's here. How much have you invested? Have you bought a small piece of land? Have you sent some money to do something for you? Or you've abandoned your country all in all? Now, whose fault is it? I know a lot of Africans will say to you, well, the reason why we go is because the West come and loot our countries. They take our gold and diamonds and stuff. Okay, great. But how do you manage that? Who let them do that? It's your people. Who is in power? They are your people. And the reason why they are still in power today is because some of you guys still applaud them. Because some of you guys still defend them with your blood. Why? Because you speak your home language. They speak your mother's tongue. You protect them because you're from the same tribe. And you are the very same people protecting the government that's running away from the same government, going to foreign lands, hoping to be accepted over there. No, it ain't going to happen. Not with Donald Trump. Africans need to understand democracy is not about tribes. It's not about you choosing a president because he's from your tribe and defends everything he does, even the negative one. This is what you do. When the president is doing negative things, you will not allow another African from your country to criticize him because he speaks your own language. That's how you function. Well, you gotta deal with it the same way. It's your people. They're not foreigners. Somebody said every nation get the leader they deserve. Was it a lie? It's not a lie. How do you fix this? We need to come together, man. We need to come together. Well, there's a lawsuit against us, okay? Lawsuit filed by Mwekassa and other advocacy group challenging the termination of TPS. But unfortunately for them, they went to court. We have to come together, brother. That's the only way. We have to come together and find solutions. We need to put aside tribalism. We need to put aside our differences. We need to work as one person. Democracy is not royalism. I'm sorry. It's not a kingdom, okay? The reason why, look, in Cameroon, people get beat up bad. Like, yeah, lawyers. Imagine a lawyer getting beat up by the police because he said something that goes against the government. A lawyer, not one, multiple lawyers getting beat up bad. Look, the president of Cameroon has been there for 42 years. This man right here. He's 92 years old. And recently he said he's going to represent himself again as a president. 92 years old. Okay, it's been crazy. There was an instance where he went to a meeting. He sat there and everybody was watching him. It was his turn to speak and he couldn't fathom what was happening. Somebody had to tell him, President, it's your time. It's about time you speak. And he's asking, just watch.
Totally unaware of what is happening around him. He does not even know his aides keep explaining what he needs to do and telling him how important the event is. And he does not even know. He just keeps fiddling with the paper in front of him and passing that. This is the sad reality of the kind of presidents that we have running most African countries.
Le monsieur vous a introduit. Il y avait un monsieur de groupe qui vous a introduit. Je dois parler maintenant.
This is the president of Cameroon, okay? And you can understand why people are tired. Matter of fact, when Cameroon was founded, it was divided in two. One side was speaking English, the other side was speaking in French. Now, the English side feel like the French side neglect them. They don't take care of them. They don't invest in that side at all. So it came a moment where some people actually wanted to create their own republic within Cameroon called Ambazonia. They want to be separated because they feel like nobody's looking after them. Infrastructure underdeveloped, there's no investment, so let's rather take care of ourselves. But in the meantime, Cameroonians have to come together and have to point fingers, and this is not limited to Cameroonians. Africa has to come together and stop embarrassing themselves. Employers in the United States of America have been told to re-verify work authorization for impacted employees. So you cannot take somebody back to work if you don't verify that they're legal. So a lot of people are going to go back to Africa. And some of them have no houses, no place to stay, nothing. Not necessarily because they couldn't do it, because some could do it, but they never had time to invest because they thought America was their home forever. They're not going back. Well, I can understand you go to Kenya, you go to Burundi and Rwanda and invest because these are African brothers. They probably will never kick you out. Okay, as long as you behave yourself, you don't do criminal activities and stuff. America will remind you when the time comes, it's America first and you're not part of America. Now, we're going to the UK, fellas. I mean, people talk about racism, but I don't know. You listen to this first. There's a man in the United Kingdom, okay? A man from Ethiopia